What is up, guys? Welcome to the Transparency. How we doing? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. I moved this up a little bit because you may get a double feature of myself. But we're going to talk about something. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So come on, gather around. We're going to start this puppy in 15 seconds.
Folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mark?
You talking up by Sunset Mark? Whoa. All right, guys, let's do it. First of all, this is from October 2023. This is the order that Judge put in place. And this is the order addressing the IgG DNA and order for in-camera review. Okay, so check this out. When you turn it over and you come to the background and you read the part, and this is basically what Judge is determining as the background of this case. And so here you go. On November 13th, 2022, for University of Idaho students, they, at an off-campus home on King Road, Moscow, Idaho, the cause of death of each was ruled a homicide. While investigating the murders, law enforcement discovered a tan leather knife sheath lying on the bed next to Mogan. He's taking that off of the Brett Payne probable cause. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA. Now, once law enforcement had the single source DNA from the K-bar knife sheath, they conducted what is called STR. So as that's discussing that, again, they put it into CODIS profiles from the convicted offenders, arrestees, and the DNA, no match was found. Again, meanwhile, so this is the most important part here. Meanwhile, so after they did this, law enforcement continued to investigate the homicides. They conducted a video canvass. Now, the last time I saw this and heard this was in the Brian Drake case, when the so-called video canvass, and what that means is when you go around the neighborhood, you go around the area of the businesses, you go around that area with, trying to get Ring cameras, things of that nature. So, meanwhile, law enforcement continued to investigate the homicides. They conducted a video canvass in the area of the King Road residence. And this is off of the probable cause statements of Brett Payne. The video canvass revealed a white sedan that piqued the interest of investigators. The video footage was provided to a forensic examiner with the FBI, who initially identified the sedan as a 2011-2013. This is when we find out that in this area, I believe it was the Ridge Road one, it was going the wrong way. Now, at this time then, but later it was indicated again, this is how Judge is seeing things. So it's really important to understand this is his take, okay? So later indicated it could be a 2011-2016. Now, we know here at Truth and Transparency that there is no way in hell an expert would ever mistake a 2011 to 2016 white Honda Elantra. Does that mean that that's what Judge knows? Absolutely not. Okay. He's not sitting prior to an arrest going and following this case like we all have done and examining the differences between a 2011 to 2016 Elantra. Now, the video footage was provided to a forensic examiner. I'm sorry, going on now. On November 29th, 2022, after reviewing video footage and asking law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Honda Elantra in the area. So they're saying after all of that, then in 2015, white Honda registered defendant Brian Koberger was located in Pullman, Washington. Now this is where it gets good. The state's case alleges that with this information, law enforcement determined that Koberger's physical description matched that given to investigators by a surviving roommate of the victims, and big word there, and that Koberger's cell phone travel was consistent with that of the white Hyundai Elantra in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. Now, remember, in the alibi, you have the alibi, and everybody's like, wow, why is Ann Taylor talking about Floyd's? Okay. Just because Floyd's wasn't used in the probable cause, okay, does not mean that Floyd's wasn't turned over and more information was coming out and that they're providing this discovery work. And then it was revealed to Ann basically that investigators are saying that the vehicle outside of Floyd's is that Hyundai white Elantra. Okay. That's why Ann Taylor is specifically mentioning that. Okay. Now, here we go. Again, it matched, and that Koberger's cell phone. So people out there that are saying, what if the prosecution comes back and says that Brian Koberger didn't have a cell phone, or you guys, if they come back and say that just wrecks their whole case. That is not going to happen. So you can't even play devil's advocate with that. So just stop with that. Now, but they're saying that that Koberger's cell phone travel was consistent with that of the white Hyundai Elantra. That's what they're trying to put together, that the cell phone is the same as the white Hyundai Elantra. Okay. Those two things, that's what is consistent. Now, again, this is the way that Judge is seeing it, because this is based on one of his orders. Based on this information, law enforcement believed Koberger to be the driver of that white Elantra that was seen on video surveillance around the King Road residence at the time of the homicides. Okay. And we're talking huge leaps here. Okay. Because at this time, you're all going to have to ask yourselves, and it's going to come out, when did the name Brian Koberger come back as far as the hit on the DNA? Okay. That was seen on the video surveillance around the King Road residence at the time of the homicide. Law enforcement also obtained cell phone records indicating that prior to the homicide, Koberger's cell phone had utilized cellular resources that provided coverage to the area of 1122 King Road on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th. Okay. That's what you're looking at. That's literally what you're looking at. Okay. So when Judge went ahead and gave this, order, he talked about the introduction of, this was the order for the IGG, but when he did the background, of it, the background was literally just half of a page, this page. Okay. And then it goes into the investigative genetic genealogy. Okay. Because they're just talking about the arrest of him here. But that's what we're dealing with. And I highlighted the blue because the blue is what matter. So what's important here is that this is what Judge sees as like There is no IDs. There's not even that talk. Like after they arrested him, they then had X, Y, and Z. That's your background. Now, I'm going to go back to right here where it says, based on this information, law enforcement believed Brian Kober to be the driver of the white Elantra that was seen on video surveillance around the King Road residence at the time of the homicide. Law enforcement also obtained cell phone records indicating that prior to the homicides, so through here, where do we hear anything about the cell phone records? It says that matched and that Kober's cell phone travel was consistent with that of the 100 Elantra. Now, here's where we get to say, wait a second, hold on. I thought that his phone was off. I thought that his phone was turned off. Remember, 2:47 a.m. to 4:48 a.m. Their version of events is that from 2:47 a.m. to 4:48 a.m., his phone was either out of network, turned off. Remember? So the question I have to say is, from 2:47 to 4:48 a.m., how could anything be consistent with the travel of the white Honda Elantra if, in fact, their version of events is that it was turned off, not reporting to anything? So therefore, anything from 2:47 to 4:48, that doesn't make any sense. You couldn't have, you couldn't be saying, like they say in the PCA, that his phone is consistent, or how Judge is wording it here, that, and Kohlberger's cell phone travel, and he's taking this, like where it says ID at the end, he's taking that from statements made before. So again, Kohlberger's cell phone travel was consistent with that of the white Honda Elantra in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. Well, I have a hard time understanding that when we've been just told, and mainstream media wants to throw down our votes, that his phone was turned off from 2:47 to 4:48. So how could it be consistent with anything during that time? Okay, you understand what I'm saying right there? Now, what I want to talk about, and then we're going to come back to this, is everybody wants to talk about the 2:52 being the last call that was made. Okay, I want to talk about why the calls began at 2:26. Okay, people want to talk about the 4chan stuff. That's great. I want to put you over here for a second, and we're going to come back to that. But right now, what I want to talk about is at 1:56 a.m., it is actually how I believe they determined this was not of any type of video camera. I believe that the driver, the party driver, had like Life 360 app. But I believe that the 1:56 a.m. is coming off of the party driver 360 app. Something to do with that. Okay. Now, why do I believe this? Because of the Gonsalves's interview. Now you could say, Alana, why are you going to believe on that? Well, because I'm looking at many different things, and that's out of everything and how I want to gauge what I'm gauging. The very interesting things that they said when it was pertaining to this 156, they wanted to be moved from 145, and then they got it to move to 156. I know my sisters came home at 1:56 a.m. Okay. So I believe that this is from the party driver and the Life 360 app that he probably had. Okay. Now, versus a camera. So the question is that 1:56 a.m., why did the phone calls not start to Jack D until 2:26 a.m.? Now I went ahead and I looked back at all of my footage that I have from the body cams and the dash cams from all the stuff that happened in August and September and the noise complaints. And something that we noticed, and I think everybody can attest to this, is that in that area, you don't drive over to a house that's in that area. No, nobody's getting in a car and driving from the King Road house to then driving over to where um, Jack D used to live. You walk. Okay. You're walking over there. And then that was consistent with when you looked at the dash cam, you saw girls, and I don't know who that was. You know, some people can say it's Kaylee that I showed you guys in the dash cam. I don't give a shit who it was. It was somebody clearly after the cops had been there, all right, and they're leaving. Somebody gets in or somebody leaves one of those residents over there, and they are then walking and going into a different place, a different home. And so everybody walks over there. So I want us to talk about some logic here. When they were doing this whole neighborhood canvassing, all right, you go and you get camera footage, okay, and you're looking at, it wouldn't just be cars, all right, you're looking at anybody that would be walking around and that you could catch on a Ring camera, because Ring camera usually lets you know somebody's in the area or right around you because it's motion activated. So they're supposedly gathering all of this footage and you know, looking at it. And so in the PCA, what we hear about is we don't hear anything in the PCA about anybody on foot. And I think that's interesting. They're staying completely away from talking about anybody that's on foot in the area. They just want to talk about these cars that are in the area. And so why couldn't this person be on foot? Like, why would you, if you were a detective, why would you think that we need to look at the cars in the area that leave the area versus we need to look at the cars that are leaving and coming and going? We need to look at the people that are coming and going. So why are the people, why is anybody that's walking, you know, when you're talking about your neighborhood canvas? And what you're supposed to be doing when you do the neighborhood canvas is you're supposed to just get everything you possibly can before it's looped over, before it's recorded over, before you lose that footage. You want to just get out and get it. And then you can investigate it later. But you need to get the shit. You need to get the DVR if you can. You need to get the hardware. You need to get that stuff. But so keep that in your back of your mind there with why couldn't the killer or killers be on foot? Okay, now let's move to this. Getting home at 1:56 a.m. Why didn't the call start to Jack D until 2:26 a.m.? What was going on between 1:56 a.m. and 2:26 a.m. that there was no reason? Like, we're in the texting world right now. We're not in the calling world, okay? So, you guys saw the grub truck just like I saw the grub truck. And when I look at the grub truck, do I see Kaylee? Is she texting or is she on the phone? Maddie's not even texting. Maddie doesn't even seem like she has her phone. Maddie is totally not concerned with her phone whatsoever. But it's the texting age. It's the Snapchat, like, you know, texting. It's not calling. You're not calling people. You're texting with people. So how many texts do you think are in the phones of Maddie and Kaylee? And what do you think those text messages say? So hear me out on this. If I'm trying to get a hold of Jack D, why would I call him 9 times, 7 times, 5 times, and then use my friend's phone to call him to see if he's going to answer from her phone, because maybe he's just not answering my calls, like I said back in the day. Or maybe my phone died and I have to wait for it to plug in, or I'm being lazy and I'm using my friend's phone to call, to start making those calls. So if I'm texting with somebody, why wasn't texting enough? Were they not responding back to me? So therefore it's like, okay, I need to call. Or did I walk over to Jack D's house and he's not there? And then therefore I'm calling him to say, like, Where are you? Like you said that you were leaving the bar because you wanted to go home and you were tired and you want to go to sleep, but your car's not even here. Like your car, but, and then they can say, well, no, that was normal for Kaylee just to blow people up. And okay, well, was it normal for her to go and grab somebody else's phone and use their phone to call? What were the text messages before that point? And then this leads me into this next thing, which is determining that you're not going to want to use any of the victims' phones to determine anything. Everybody who's watched my channel for the last 24 to 48 hours, I told you guys to go and check out Cy Ray's stuff. Just for the simple fact of seeing what people would use that are, experts in this field. They're going to use the victims' phones. They're going to use the victims' historical data. They're going to use the victims' devices. So does anybody think it is beyond weird or just abnormal that they didn't use Brian Drake's phone for anything? He's a victim, ISP. Did not use Brian Drake's phone. And then now here we get to this murder in 2022, and they're not using any of the victims' phones to determine the time of the crime, what they were doing when they were, except they say that, they believe that Xana was on TikTok at 412. So now in the this is the body cam notes and timestamps from the Banfield camera. Now, do you guys recall when the guy said, where are you coming from? Where are you at? And he said, I don't know, Matt's. He said he gave the name Matt. You guys recall that? If you guys have been following this channel, when you think of the name Matt, when it comes to this case, what do you think? What do you think of when you think of Matt? Have you guys ever heard of Matt before? I mean, I know I have. I'm just curious to know what you guys think. Well, Matt is Matt Moyer, possibility. Matt Moyer, who was one of the callers for the noise complaints. So that would be one of the Matts that I know of. Now, these kids also just like to say stuff because they don't want to get people in trouble. Just like when the girls were asked when that happened, September 1st, whose party? What are you here for? Who lives here? We don't know. Okay. So you don't want to be throwing people under the bus, but somebody did yell out Matt. Okay. And the only Matt that I know in that area is if you're coming from that area, and if you cut through, you could be coming from Matt Moyer's house. So just so you know. Now, so why from 1:56 a.m. to 2:26 a.m. were there no phone calls once Kaylee arrived at home? She'd be at home for 30 minutes. Why were there no phone calls between her phone and Objecties. Why would you wait 30 minutes? Is it because you were laying with your friend, talking, bullshitting, and then she falls asleep, passes out, whatever, and then you just all of a sudden thought you're going to start calling him at after she passes out and falls asleep? And so, when you're going to talk about the garbage, where's the garbage from the food truck? Was there any food in that room? Did they eat in that room? Okay. Let me give you an example. If I'm home and I'm in my room, and then my roommates, so in college, if a roommate came home and I'm in my room, and the next morning somebody asks me what time somebody came home and I didn't see them, I wouldn't know the answer to that. I don't know what time they came home. I didn't see them. Okay. I didn't see them come home. I didn't talk to them when they came home. So therefore I wouldn't know. Okay. I don't know what time they came home. So the person that says that everybody was home by 2:00 and in their rooms by 4. Okay. Who's saying that? Who is in a position to even say that? Obviously, it can't be anybody that's dead, right? So you're looking at either that was Dylan going to say that or Bethany's going to say that. All right. So who's in a position to even say that, right? That everybody's home by 2 and in their rooms by 4. Well, that has to be the last person that would be awake to go to their room to know that. Well, I can say this. I know that I went to bed at this time and everybody else is already asleep. That's how I could say that. And then I'd be like, okay, what time did you go to bed? Well, I know that I went to my bed at X amount of time. Okay. And what time do you think everybody got home? I don't know. I mean, do you get how that's going to, how you're going to be able to talk that through? Nobody's going to be able to go into an interview and say, yep, she got home at this time. She got home at that time. They went to their rooms at this time. I'm sorry, but that's just not going to happen like that. And if that does happen like that, then your brain should be working in a really zeroed in way on those people that are telling you those specific times like that. Okay. So, but going back to this, which is you get home at 1:56. Why did the phone call start at 2:26? And then they last until 2:52 to the point of, is it now, did Maddie even truly use her phone? I've always said if Kaylee's phone died, then she could have used Maddie's because her phone died. Or if Jack D is not answering, then she would use Maddie's to see if he's going to answer that phone, right? But why would she wait 30 minutes before she starts calling him if she's home? And then, let's be honest, you live where you live, and he lives where he lives, and people are walking all over there. We know that there's going to be text messages that are going on while you're trying to call somebody, especially if they're not answering your phone call. Then you're texting them saying, why aren't you answering? I'm calling. There's going to be that. But I'm interested in the whole fact of is that for one of the roommates, whoever said it, is that they were all home by 2 and in their rooms by 4. It's super interesting to me that they think that everybody was in their own rooms, but yet here Maddie and Kaylee are in the same room. I think that that's truly, truly interesting. And I always said that the reason that I thought that there was such a big gap is that if Kaylee walked over to Jack D's and didn't see his car there and was texting him, like, if she went over there and he's not there, that there'd be texting saying, I thought you went home because you were tired. Okay. And that type of conversation that now I see that your car's not even there. You know what I mean? Then you get back and then it goes from texting to being like, okay, well, I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him to the point that then you decide that either you have to use your friend's phone because yours died or because you want to see if he's going to answer that call. Now, I don't know about you guys, but everything's always like more drama when you're in high school and college, to the point of you're going to be making things like a big deal. And I don't know somebody in that position that would just go, oh, okay, he's blowing me off, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to go to bed. To the point that I'm doing all of this erratic stuff between this time period. And then all of a sudden I'm just going to go to bed. Boom. Phone. Done. In all the years, I tell you what, there's going to be hella text messages. If I'm done texting, if I'm done calling at this time, there's still going to be probably hella text messages, or at least a couple with me saying, you're such a fucking asshole, or like, I can't believe that you're, you know, there's going to be text messages with this. There's no way that Kaylee just called him and was not texting. Okay. Just making sure we're clear on that. So I think those text messages are hella relevant. Okay. Now, I've already witnessed the Idaho State Police fuck up one timeline in a murder. Or you can say you didn't fuck it up and you purposely covered for somebody. Either way, they're two horribly bad things. So we got to go back to this. Why in the world and how in the world, just hear me out on this. How in the world are you going to say that there was nothing to indicate? Okay. Nothing. There was not somebody running out of the house with a knife that you saw during this time frame. Literally nothing to be putting the killing here. There is nothing. You guys understand that? The time of the crime, there is nothing out there right now. Scientifically, we don't have any data, nothing out there to prove or that would indicate that this is the time of the crime between all this. And that it has to do with this, not this fucking car that you say you see, these lights. Okay. Versus, let me just throw this out for you. What other, how do I want to say this? They wouldn't have had Dylan's data back to look at her crap, to like say, okay, let's see how many steps you took. Let's get this over to an expert. Let's turn your phone. Let's see if your phone, when you got out of bed, how many steps you took at this time. So they're not using the victim's phones for a very good reason, because it doesn't support this. You guys understand that when something doesn't support something, you can't use it. So I believe that the victim's phones does not support this timeline. Otherwise, you would fucking use it. All right. Also, I think that you would use it if one of them made the phone call to order the DoorDash. I think that you would use that. Okay. You would use things that support this timeline. But literally, there is nothing there. They're just looking at stuff and they're like, they did it. I watched them do this in another case. I was on the phone with my husband and he told me he was shot through the window. What time were you on your phone with your husband? 7:17 to 7:26. Okay, sounds perfect. We're going to go with that. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Well, yeah, no, he said I was on the phone with him. We were just winding down the day. And then he says, ouch, ouch, I think something hit me. Oh my God, I think somebody shot me through the window. And then the phone went dead. And then I hung up and then I called 911. Okay. Now this is ISP. Okay. Did you call 911 with your cell phone? Yeah. But there's no 911 record. There's no call. It's saying that you didn't call on your cell phone. Or you shouldn't use another? No. Okay. Then you would think that let's go and get a crime scene expert, or let's go ahead and start examining the crime scene. Oh, lo and behold, the window was shot out from inside out. Holy shit. So if it came back that the window was shot from inside out, then what? Well, then your husband couldn't have been shot through the window outside in if the shot was blown from inside out. What do you think ISP did with this information? Absolutely nothing. They said they didn't check the window. They didn't examine anything to do with the crime scene. Okay. They let it stand that she calls 911, yet there's no record of it on her cell phone, but they say that she's in Hayden away. So this is how ISP operates. And to this day, this is exactly what they say happens. And so then I want to put it into this case right here, Idaho4, same people investigating. I don't give a fuck what Dylan says. I don't give a fuck what Bethany says. How are you gauging after what they say, comparing that to the evidence, comparing it to their phone? And now what they put in the PCA is that it's their statements along with their cell phones. Well, what the fuck do their cell phones possibly say that could corroborate that a murder happened between 4:04 and 4:20? Think about that. Think about this right here, right now. They had a window to investigate between literally, let's just even say 2 a.m. to 12 noon. How do they go from investigate? Like, this is when all of this could have taken place once until they're going to say, well, these bodies have been here for X amount of time. Like, there's no way that this could have happened 30 minutes ago. Okay. Like things like that. But what are they truly using to say, okay, we're going to go with this? Well, we're going with some car. We're going that this car came in. We can't really see it at all. And we think it came by 3 times. And so we think that's the killer's car. The fuck? Like, I'm being serious. Like, we have all this camera, all this surveillance stuff all over the place, right? And if we thought it was that important, then why wouldn't we look at the surveillance cameras before the 18th? 13th. They don't look at any of the surveillance cameras until the 18th. That is how special they must have thought those cameras were. You guys, they waited 5 days to start looking at the cameras. How do we know that? Because Ann Taylor told us in a motion. or if whoever wrote the motion. Jen, 10 memberships. You're green. You're green. Everybody's green. Thank you, Jen. Love your heart. Love your ways. You guys, I'm just giving it to you like logically here. And this is as logic as you're going to get it. The 13th, they don't start reviewing camera footage until the 18th. Then once you actually start reviewing it and breaking it down, you're going to have like hella shit to go through. You guys, I'm telling you, you know how long it takes to go through camera footage? And to try to like map everything up to say, okay, then we're going to follow it on this camera to this camera to that time and start like, and then you have to say like, whose car is this? Like, but then now you're going to mix in the people with it. So then from 2 a.m. to 12 p.m., let's look at also the people that are walking. But if I would have thought that camera was so important, because after I would have interviewed my 2 surviving witnesses at the, roommates, and they would be telling me stuff. Oh, hey, yeah, there was a DoorDash. I think I remember someone saying that somebody was here. I think, you know what? I think, yeah, somebody ordered food. I got up 3 times because I heard screaming. Wait, you got up 3 times because you thought you heard? Yeah, screaming and crying. I don't know. I was up and down. Did you ever leave out your bed? I mean, but what do they have? Like, truly, what do we have here? How are you picking this time frame? And how are you picking that car? And then how are you saying that we're not going to pay attention to any of the victims' phones? None of that makes any sense to me. Logically, what I would think I would be saying is that Kaylee never used her phone again. Maddie never used her phone again. So that's telling me that they did. Well, Kaylee's phone died. You get what I'm saying? Like, okay, let's go to Ethan. We don't hear a damn thing about Ethan in that PCA. But for whatever reason, they can't use these victims' phones. Also, what else I think is really, really kind of continuing to ask us where they were. Dude, all of these people had their phones on them. Get their phones and you download them and you Cellbrite download them, and then you look at and then you map where they were, because I guarantee you they had their locations on their device, and you'd be able to like pinpoint everywhere that they went. Because you're going to sit here and tell me that all those people in that house went into Google and shut off locations, that they didn't have any type of app, that they didn't know that they had. I guarantee you all of them had a Gmail. And if you have your Gmail and you're getting emails sent to your phone and you don't realize that it's literally a GPS tracking system. So when they're coming out to the public, asking the public where these people went, I'm thinking to myself, these people had their phones on them. All these victims, like, you're going to know everywhere they went. Thank you. Appreciate that. So that's what they said that they did that. If you have everybody's phones and you plug them in and you download them and you use Cellbrite, and then you start looking at all the data and you start plotting where they went. I don't know why you for so long wouldn't know the whereabouts and what Ethan and Xana did from 9 to 1:30. So much so that you have to come back out and ask the public about that. Don't understand that. That must have been like Bethany never told you right off the rip all of that stuff, because I thought that Bethany was the one that was corroborating the 9 to 1:30. that they were at Sigma Chi. So if she would have told you that right off the rip, there is no wondering about their whereabouts. But yet you're using her in a PCA. Okay. So now I know right off the rip, there's issues with the whereabouts and the person that's vouching for that. Because unless you're going to come back out and say, we were just fucking with the public again, just like we were just fucking with the public when, I mean, we really didn't need help with a white Honda Elantra, but, you know, we did this for X, Y, and Z. Okay. So let's go back here then. It was always said that the murders were between 3 and 4. And then it wasn't until the PCA came out that, boom, oh my God, the murders were after 4 o'clock. Okay. And again, what's moving that? How in your investigation did you sit down Bethany and you sit down Dylan and you basically can't go with what Bethany's saying and you choose to go with Dylan's saying, because I believe that Bethany's contradicting what Dylan's saying, obviously. And you decide to go with, okay, a girl that says she just went to sleep or just went to her room was woken up at 4 when she would have just went to her room at 4, because she said everybody was in there is home at 2 and in their rooms by 4. Okay, so then she wasn't asleep, right? When she says that she was awoken. So how can you go to sleep at 4 and also wake up at 4? And then you get up out of your bed 3 different times. And again, how come this wouldn't be, how come you're being able to say this was at 4 and not at 3? Like, how does she know the difference? Now I have a question. Usually when you grow up, the last thing people ever want to do is they want to contact like the parents. Okay. So my question is did Kaylee's the cousin, the niece that called Christy, did she call Jack D? Did she call Maddie? You know, remember she hits up Christy and says, hey, have you talked to, you know, there was a party and Kaylee got shot up. Remember that? Well, don't you think that the cousin would have contacted Jack D or Maddie? So I'm just curious, should there be that phone call in one of their phones from that niece? Because I know for me, I'd be calling my cousin, trying to get in touch with my cousin before I would call and try to talk to or tell my aunt something like that. I would not be calling my aunt and saying anything like that until I was trying to call other people. So I'm curious about the phone. So if I'm Aunt Taylor, I want to know every phone call that the niece made that day and that night. And I'm sure people don't want to talk about this, but the first time that I've ever heard of anybody going to any ER or urgent care came just a couple weeks ago when Christy and Steve were interviewed by the interview room. And it was that Steve went, because he never goes to the doctor, never goes to the hospital, but that Steve that morning went because he had a rash. And that was the first that we ever heard about that. Does anybody know if that was ER trip or a urgent care? Does anybody know about that? It wasn't really clarified in that. Because I have a couple things to say about this. I mean, this was never mentioned before. So again, I don't know if it was specified, if it was the ER or if it was like the urgent care or whatever, but it was for a rash. And so I have a couple things I want to say about this. First thing is why even say something like that? Why even bring that up? Why even why? And I said to myself, that's the last thing you want to give all these trolls out here is any reason to come at somebody. But it's been I don't know how many months. And when I heard that, I think I about fell out my chair because I think that it was just, why even mention it? Why say it now? Why now? Why even say that? Like what did that bring to the story? What did that bring to that interview? And then there's Chris McDonough. I mean, I would have had full stop. Wait, you went where in the morning? Wait, what time? Wait, why? What do you mean you had a rash? Like, just act like it was just another day in the park. But I have no idea why that was even mentioned. And whew. So I don't know why that wouldn't be more cleared up if that was just, decided to be said that morning. And again, if this isn't that morning and it was a different morning, again, this would have all been able to be cleared up with the interview room providing a good interview and saying, wait a second, are you talking about that morning? Like the morning, like, you would get clarity. And it is that morning. Go listen to it. So going back though, again, have no idea why that was mentioned. Now, I talked to Dave a couple different times, and I specifically asked about the brother, Kaylee's brother, because I really wanted to put them in order from their ages and how far apart everybody was. And, I knew that he was in a fraternity, but Kirsty said that both of the kids were home, that everybody was there except for Kaylee. But from all of my conversations with Dave is that Steve had left, and if he was taking classes, he was not still staying at the university. And it had been a while. And he was taking classes at, I want to say, Northern Idaho, like CC. And he was living, so it wasn't like he was living at the fraternity. He wasn't in the fraternity. He was up, in Coeur d'Alene. And then I asked him about the Lake guy, what was it? You guys know Cindy's stepson. What the hell's his last name? Lake. It'll come to me. Anyhow, she inserts herself, the one that did all the cheerleading crap, and she's like the media person. So she comes out of nowhere on Facebook and says, "Oh my God, Campbell, yes, Lake. Thank you, Tammy. Oh oh my God, that's the house that Lake lived in, you know, her stepson lived in, and he was just living there 6 months ago. Well, that's 100% not true either. Lake didn't live there, and Lake had been living in Boise as a carpenter, okay, doing like housework, like I don't know, cleaning gutters or roofing or some shit like that. But he was not living there 6 months ago. So I'm over here going back to like, you know, let's just point out this wild shit. Okay, let's point out like these inserters. And why Kim's kind of an important person to talk about is she was running the she was like the relations person. She's doing all the she's like your media. She's like your advertising media PR person. But she's not your Jody Walker. Okay, Jody Walker handles big shit. Okay, Jody Walker is a big deal. And here in this whole case, we never hear about Jody Dan Walker. And Jody Walker is like the right hand to Green. So I thought that was wild. Anyways, she also in a comment puts her daughter back in town from Cali. Okay. I would love to know what her boyfriend does for a living. When do you guys want to talk about the drug angle? But looking at all of this stuff, it's like, okay, if you don't know something and details matter in investigations, they matter so much to the Idaho State Police, so much so that they will go in and read people's Facebook comments and then they will hit you up because of your Facebook comments. That's how ISP has investigated in the past. I've witnessed it. Okay. And I'm just like, wow, this is wild. Okay. So here I'm looking at all of this stuff and I'm like, Jesus. So trust me, that 4chan, that's where I said we're going to come back to this. Trust me, 4chan 100% investigated by SP, by Idaho State Police. When you guys want to talk about, and I bring it up to you guys, back in the day when JLR said, oh my God, there's all these cars just lined up at, you know, on Greek Row over there. I'm telling you, once that stuff was posted, Idaho State Police is notorious for investigating articles that get posted by people in the comment section. And like they were monitoring all of that. Okay. So 100% they investigated this 4chan, just so you guys know that. Without a doubt. That's how Idaho State Police works. Not even playing. They put it in the discovery. They will put the article and then they will put why they went and visited somebody and it was because of an article. So just so you know. So these details matter. So why would you think that your stepson was living in the house where these kids were slain 6 months earlier when your stepson has been living in Boise? Okay. Like, and again, immediately what I thought is, well, maybe she wants to place him there because in case his DNA is up in that mofo. So what are the odds that somebody's arrested in the Poconos after somebody writes that the killer is just chilling up in the Poconos? How many places there are in the world? How many places there are in the United States of America? And you're going to sit here and tell me that somebody writes the killer is probably across the country chilling in the Poconos. That's exactly where Brian Colbert was arrested. I mean, do you guys understand that? I mean, that's not... So let me ask you this. We took screenshots of everything, right? So if we have the name of the account, don't you think that the police or somebody like Ann Taylor would want to know about that? I'd want to know about that. Because let me tell you why I'd want to know about that. How in the actual F did somebody know that? Or did somebody truly just, but the only way you would know that is you're going to go get the account and then you're going to talk to them, you're going to interview them, and you're going to ask them, hey, did you comment on blah, blah, blah on this channel? Or did you comment in this and say this? Like, why did you say that? Where's it coming from? Oh, I don't know. I got high one night and I just started saying stuff. Now, same thing goes with this, right? So what are the odds that the 4chan, okay? What are the odds in the 4chan saying, them coming out, giving this whole big spiel about everything, and then saying that in and out in 19 minutes? And then Payne comes out with a PCA, literally almost identical to the time frame and the time. So you're going to sit here and tell me that there's somebody out there, people that are out there, right? These random fucks that just don't know shit, right? That come on through and say that the killer's probably all the way across the country now, off in the Poconos. And then the next person says that and gives a rundown about Titties wasn't supposed to be there. Titties is collateral. Remember that? Does anybody remember what the date was of when 4chan posted their? Because I can go back and tell you the date on when I did my episode, when it came out, because everybody wanted me to, what I think about it. And what I thought about it was, well, I can tell you that law enforcement's going to be all over investigating them and talking to them. Okay. But more importantly, like, whoever wrote it is just has a complete lack of, like, they were raised a little off. Let's just say it that way. So does anybody have the exact date of that 4chan post? Do you think you know when it is? So was it December 12th? When was it? Was it the 18th? Was it the 22nd? When was it? I know it was obviously before the arrest, but hold on. What do we got? We got 12/12. Well, end of the day. So let's just talk about some stuff. Someone double crossed him. Let's just talk about some stuff. Either we got some people with ESP, right? Or we got some people that knew some stuff, or maybe they just knew a little bit of stuff. But at the end of the day, I've asked a lot of people that have been in the military. I've asked a lot of people that that I think would have a background into, like, tactical. Everybody that I have talked to says that there is no way that anybody else was in that house, or they would have been dead. So think about that. Think about that just for a second. Okay. If anybody was in that house, if anybody else was in that house, they would have been dead. When you hear that there was 4 people dead and there was 2 people that weren't harmed. Okay. And everybody that I talked to says there's no way that those 2 people were there when this happened. Every single person. There's not a single person that I've talked to that I believe. Like, I'm not asking like random Joes here. I'm talking about people. They said, who in the world would ever leave a witness? Number one. What was it when I asked about would you think you'd be too tired? They said, no, you would know what you're doing. You would know how many people you need to take out. You would know that there was all those people living there. Okay. So, think about that for. Okay, so I want to close up with a couple different things because then I'm going to be back later around 10:30. So here we go. Do you think that it would be relevant if these people, these accounts were identified? Okay, that these accounts were identified. Do you think that that they would be relevant to then be called? Okay, to be called then to trial? Do you think that they would be deemed relevant and that Ann Taylor, or if the prosecution wanted to use them, would these people be relevant, such as Papa Rogers, the person that was typing in with the 4chan, the person, if it was someone separate that said the Poconos? Do you think that these people are relevant? Do you think that that a judge, if they were to be identified, because let me ask you this, okay? Don't you think that the police would have investigated this to the point that you would have identified these people? That I shouldn't have to even identify any of these people because the police would have identified them, right? But now you have to understand who we're dealing with here. These are the same people that didn't take the 3 unidentified male DNAs and do anything with them. Okay. So now what do we really think that these people did? I believe it's relevant. I believe that it's relevant. Okay. The reason I believe that it's relevant is because Ann Taylor's going with, not only did I think that Ann Taylor's going to go the route that my client has an alibi. Okay. It's a modern day alibi in the fact that I'm not having somebody lie and say that he's with them or whatever. But I also believe that Ann Taylor could work in a third party culpability defense. Okay. So you remember how with all of Brian Kohlberger's stuff, what they were trying to do is they were trying to link Brian to any known associates of the victims or the roommates. Okay, like we're trying to look at his phone number and see, come on, we have to link him somehow, right? And we're trying to see if he was stalking them, blah, 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 but nothing came back. Now, don't you think that it would be relevant and that you would take these people and to see who they've been calling, the 4chan people, or the Poconos person or paparazzi, okay, to see if there's any connection. Because now here's my little woo, whoa, hey, here we go. What girl usually tells a secret to somebody and that secret gets out? So you're going to sit here and tell me that Bethany nor Dylan have spoken to anybody about this case? You tell me what sorority girl because you want to know what I see here? This shit. This is somebody that knows something. You can't sit here and tell me that these people don't know something because this all came out before the PCA was ever written. And it may not mirror it, but everything that matters, which is how long this would take, yada yada. So we need to show that this happened in a mirroring type way, but with a vehicle. That's what I see. I see that we need to get this away from possibly anybody that could have been on foot. And I'm still wondering how anybody could possibly that use their hands to stab multiple times, multiple people, if they left that slider open, how nobody heard anything. Because if there's no blood on to pull the slider open, okay, or to pull the slider closed, that means you're just going to leave this door open. And I'm telling you, it is so, you are on top of each other over there and you would have heard shit. What about that next morning or at noon? Nobody's screaming. Like, so from my experience with ISP, they have no problem having a time frame that's not the time. Then you just have to do some investigating. Hence, in the Brian Drake case, Brian Drake was not shot through any window. It would have been so easy for them to just investigate that. Why didn't they? And you can ask yourselves in this case, so is ISP crooked or are they inept? And I'm telling you, then Ann Taylor had a different case where, again, I don't know if you want to call it tunnel vision, I don't know. How could not one single person know who Brian Colbert is on that campus and say his name? Does that bother anybody? Why in the PCA would you not use one of the 12 visits and trace his route there and show how his phone went there and went back? If he didn't shut it off, and why wouldn't you use one of those 12 visits to use his phone to show how it moved and it was responding to cells and stuff like that? Why didn't you do it for all 12 times? Because it's a nothing. Because if you do, it's not going to show what you want, right? When he was pulled over I cannot wait to hear a little bit more about this this ticket that resulted in him coughing up his phone number. Okay. The body cam that they won't release. Can't wait to hear more about this. Duke. And he was at 11:35 pinging on, from 10:34 to 11:35 pinging on a cell tower, but then gets pulled over at 11:37. Okay. Where was he when he got pulled over? Okay. And that was 2 minutes prior to peeing on this cell tower that provides service. And so how far was that away from where? And I want to know if that, you know how every officer asks you where you're coming from and where you're going? I'm very curious to hear, I'm just leaving Walmart here. I'm very curious. There's you guys, if it made them look bad, they would have released that shit. They've released all these other body cams. We got the one from Indiana, the 2 stops there. We got the one from October, right? Why can't we get the one that's in the PCA? Why can't we get that one? Have you guys ever been pulled over and them asking you, where you headed? Where you headed? Oh, where you headed? Where are you coming from? It's like all the time. So if you go back and you truly think about stuff, you should ask yourself why they're not using the victims' phones in the PCA. We should be asking ourselves, why did Kaylee wait from 1:56 to 2:26, okay, to start calling Jack D? Okay. Everybody wants to focus on, this ending time point. I really think that we need to focus on this to this time point as to why she waited 30 minutes. Who were the text messages? What text messages were involved from 2:26 to 2:52, as well as the calls? And is any of Jack D's roommates going to come forward and say that Kaylee went over there to see if he was home and he wasn't? Remember there was issues with that. And then I want to know about the niece. I believe that the cousin to Kaylee, I know that I'm not calling my aunt unless I literally have to. So did that niece make phone calls to Kaylee, to Maddie, to Jack D? Also, what's going to come up, which is why was Kaylee contemplating on going to Moscow that weekend? Why would it have to be even something that she's contemplating on going? What was she supposed to do otherwise? And I believe it wasn't that she was going to do anything otherwise. She was debating whether or not to go there because of an issue, because of something that had went down in the previous week or two. Okay. And we've always said that here, that, everybody that lives in that house was of a certain sorority except for Kaylee. Okay. Kaylee was the only one that wasn't in that sorority. Who knew that Kaylee was going to be in town? How would Brian Colbert have any way to know that Kaylee had gotten a new Range Rover and that was her Range Rover? How would anybody that's a stranger know that? Anybody that was scoping out that house and targeting that house would know exactly what everybody drove, exactly where people's bedrooms were, right? You'd get the blueprints of it. But none of this comes back on any devices of Brian. Also, there's no signs of a cleanup in Brian's car. He didn't go and buy bleach. He didn't bleach his car. People that think that he... And Taylor said that there was no signs of a cleanup or that any of the stuff was there. Anybody that's casing that joint, casing the house, okay, and looks at and sees the cars that are there, you're going to be like, what car is this? The Range Rover. You're going to be, that's, whose car is that? Whose car is that? For all you could think, it could be a parent's car, okay, because it's a nicer automobile, all right? When you start saying, like, what are the odds of this? What are the odds of this? What are the odds of this? And what are the odds of this? And you're going to sit here and tell me that Brian Colbert just happened to know that all of this stuff was going on in all of these people's lives to make this such a complex case that, oh God, well, they're going to be seen on the grub truck video with a guy that has a hood up and it looks like he's stalking them. And then it's going to look like it, when you start like looking up, you think that Brian Colbert could plan all that? No. So all of these things are going on. And how would Brian Colbert know anything about any of this? He wouldn't. That's why it's really important when you read the PCA and actually read it, because they don't want to tell it to you. They tried to link associates of the victims to Brian Colbert by means of texting and calling. Nothing. He was not in communications in any way, shape, or form with any of the people that they were friends with. Did not talk to them. Did not communicate with any of these people. And now let me ask you this. Don't you think that out of all of those 12 days that Brian Colbert was supposedly in the area, okay, that they would have got the surveillance ring cameras from that neighborhood to say, let's look at, because rings last a long time, 6 months, 3 months. Like, you can go back and you could see on those 12 days, did Brian Colbert go by the house? Was he sitting? Was he, because that's what they're saying. Nobody ever, everyone always forgets not to do this and not to do that because they're not committing the crime. So you bring your phone when you're staking the place out and when you're, okay. And you're going to go in your own car, right? So then you say, these are the 12 times, you have 12 different dates. You have 12 different times. Write them down, go hit up the people, get some ring camera footage, traffic cams, get something to show me that he was going up. And you don't think that they did this, or did they do it or did they know not to do it because there's nothing going to be there? Don't go and get that stuff because nothing's going to be there, because they already knew that he wasn't there and wasn't doing that. But like, if I can think of these things, you're telling me that you go and let's take the video from the 12 prior times and let's see if he's up by that house like y'all said he was. I'm telling you, look at your ring cameras. They don't, you have them for a long time. I love your common sense, says Beth. Thank you. I pride myself on that. And I truly try to explain and talk this through so that people can understand, where this is coming from. And this is just coming from a place of, if you truly want to get somebody, right? Let's nail Brian Colbert. Okay. That PCA, when you truly look at it, you guys, there's so many other ways to literally take the fluff piece and stuff it like a turkey with all this. Here, look at, I told you guys he was driving around 12 different times. Look at 6 of those times we were able to catch on this ring camera. He's parked right there, sits there for an hour. Or we could show that he was still sitting there because the next, the ring keeps going off each time someone's walking past. And so these are the other clips that were behind it. So we can say that he was there for at least 26 minutes because his car's gone the next time this clip comes on, but he got there at this time. So we can do it like that. But this is what you would do. And you would use that when they want to talk about these 12 times that he was in the area. No, he was 12 times on a goddamn on a network. He was connecting to a tower that 40 other thousand people connect to in that area. When you truly think about something like that, wait, because do you know where I drive oh my God, I was connected to that tower there. Well, there was a murder there. Wait, you think I did it because I was connected to a tower over there? And then you tell me, well, because you drove past there 12 other times before that in the past 3 months. That's on the way to my kid's school. Of course I drive past there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then they tell me, and then we have your sheath. My sheath? What sheath? I don't even know what a sheath is. A knife sheath. Oh, wait, what? Yeah, we have yours because it has your DNA on it. Okay, get the fuck out of here. I need a lawyer. Okay. Like, wait, what? I mean, just think about it coming like that. Like, and then I'd be like, wait, I only know about these people because they're in the news. Who do you think I killed? I don't even know these people. Why would I kill them? And then, well, where were you at such and such time? Well, geez, you're asking me this how many, weeks later? Well, so I'd have to think about it, and I would say, well, are you normally out and about at this time? Because we have your cell phone pinging in an area at 4:00 in the morning. And then I would say to myself, wait a second. Okay, what does me pinging there have anything to do with me? So when you're breaking this down, you'd be like, wait, what? Huh? Like, no. Well, what do you mean you have my DNA? Yeah, we traced it back through IgG. What? What's IgG? This would be like somebody that like. So then you would get to the point of this, which is, wait a second, now I have to prove that I wasn't there. Okay, what the fuck? How am I gonna do that, right? Okay, well, you guys took, when I was arrested, y'all took my phone, so I need my phone back. Or did you guys, I need my phone so that I can get it Cellbrite dumped, or do you guys have the Cellbrite dump? Okay, can I have it so I can give it to this is when people are saying, why would Brian Kober need to, we asked you for discovery. You need to give us this discovery. They're not asking them when Ann Taylor is saying that we've requested this and you guys have some cast report that's out there, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so this is what you arrested my guy on. You said that you did it off this cast report. So you're asking for that, but you're also asking for, I need the discovery of, I need my cell phone data. I need to give this to an expert because no, I didn't do it. I have no idea what's going on here. They then need to take it and look at what's going on, right? And so the only way that can happen is because I don't have my phone anymore. You guys, the police, have my phone. You guys have the data. I need you to give it to me in the discovery so that I can give it to an expert so that he can. So when somebody wants to say, why did we wait this long to get the stars and the moon in the sky? That's not what anybody waited this long for. We waited this long because we're going to get some dates eventually on when you guys turn stuff over. And it's not even all been turned over because Ann Taylor says, this is a partial. We need you to give us the rest of the shit so we can continue on. And if you don't have any more, I have my expert that's saying, then you guys are either hiding the shit or you didn't preserve it. And you purposely did not preserve stuff because it's exculpatory to Mr. Kohlberger. So you're breaking me off shit. Give me the discovery. And why they need the discovery, people think, oh, so then I can create my own alibi. No, you fucking morons. He needs the discovery because he needs the data that you took from his phone so that he can give it to an expert so that they can then show, listen, I don't know how they're putting me over there. I wasn't over there. So, and they're not giving us any of these reports, and they just want us to believe that I was over there but yet they're not providing me with any of the reports that show that I was there. Can you do this for me to show that I wasn't there? But I can't go give nothing to an expert and say, prove that I wasn't here. He's gonna be like, okay, well, where's all the data? I can. That's how this all works. That's why they're like, give us the discovery. Give us this data. Give us the stuff that you fucking gave to whoever to put whatever thing together that y'all said you did with cast and blah, blah, blah. That is what Brian Clover is asking for. But when you listen to mainstream media and you listen to other people talk about this case, oh, Brian Clover wants you to give him all that so that he can then create an alibi. Guys, that is the dumbest thing I think I've ever fucking heard. That's just so dumb. Create an alibi. Okay. And if you think we've waited this long because of some moon and some nope, we waited this long because Bill Thompson is not giving over the discovery and wants until September to do so. So y'all are waiting. No, you just waited this long to have an expert straight up say that your pain and the rest of the crew, whoever did this, well, you're either wrong, okay, or now you got somebody else that is testing your shit, and now the jury's gonna see this stuff and how this all plays out. But I'm telling you, there's no way in hell that I would ever say Brian Clover was somewhere where the data did not say it. Why would I want to get a murderer off? Who in their right mind that's in this line of work would ever do that? That has to be the sickest shit. I don't believe that this guy would be saying and working with Ann Taylor if what he was not provided does not show what he is about to testify to. He doesn't need it. Why would you commit career suicide? You wouldn't. You would not do it. 100% you would not do it. It's that simple. And besides about your career, you're going to have to look in the eyes of other FBI agents. You're going to have to look in the eyes of all these other people that you work with so often. And basically go head to head with them and call out bullshit against people that you're like colleagues. Nobody wants to do that, but I can promise you that if I would never. Brian Clover gave me his data right now and showed that he was at that house. I would turn that over right here to everybody. Say, look at this bastard. He was there. This is how he tried to get away with it. This is how he tried to trick people. I'll be the first one out here saying this is how he tried to trick people. This is what he did. 4 people were murdered. But no, I don't trust when someone tells me just to trust them. You're just gonna have to trust us. Trust us with what? It's 2024. It's 2022 when this happened. It's 2024 now. I don't gotta trust you for anything. You're gonna prove to me. Period. Trust you. I don't have to trust you. That's not how this works. We the people employ you. So you will show your work. Prove your work. Show your work. Show your work. Show your work. Because you had to do the work in order to say what you're saying. So why all of a sudden now is it like they knew that this day would come, right? Or do they really truly not think that this day was going to come? I would love to know if there's been any plea deals offered. That's something that I would love to know. But this day was coming, so you knew eventually you're going to have to show your work. And how Ann Taylor is missing anything to do with Brian Kober's telephone, the data, because there are more things that you can go and get. You guys do know that, right? When you're filling out these search warrants, you could say, hey, we want this. Then you could do another one. Hey, we want this. And that's what they're saying. So when you got Brian's phone, what did you do? And if you did any fuckerage and you didn't go and get it all, and you didn't preserve it by getting it, Brian knows what apps. I mean, do you guys know what apps are on your phone? So for example, when you're going to get this data, right? And Brian's looking at his data, and what if I was like, wait a second, my Gmail was on my phone. So where's the search warrant for Google? So that everything with Google would have came back on my phone, all the data. Where's that? You know, why is it only from this time to this time? Where's this time at? Wait, how about all those 12 visits where's all that data? You never disappoint us, Anna. You are the best. Oh, thank you so much for those kind words. 13-month member, Sooniger. Woo woo. No one compares Lana Brains. I will take that, Mama J, all the way to the bank. Thanks for always giving us the best. How delicious 82. What's good, girl? 16 months. I told you guys, Jen was making it rain up in here. Everybody turned green there. Remember, for 4 months. Hopefully you've been loving it. I hope Anna investigates my murder. Oh God, I hope you're not murdered. A little bit. 12 months. I think she was asked what did they do that day, starting with what she woke up. She said he had a rash the night before and woke up with side of face swollen, so they went to the urgent room. Oh, yes. And that's interesting. Speaking of the Stephen Christie thing, we know what you did. Can Cy and Co. get access to the victim's phone's data? Yes. That's discovery. So everything that's in discovery, if Ann Taylor wanted to give that to him, absolutely. You can only do with what somebody gives you, but anything in the discovery to give to an expert like that, absolutely. And now they just have to disclose stuff like that because it's a protective order. So, but he would 100% be given that if Ann chose to do that, which, I mean, for them not to use the victim's phones, I'd be wanting to know all about the victim's phones because it doesn't support. Appreciate you and all the research you shared. Thank you. Appreciate that. We're going to be going to a movie here. So gifted. Thank you, Mr. C. Gifting some memberships there. I appreciate that. Deborah, when I missed this, we'll rewatch. Okay, do that for me, love. The Nothing Burger strategy for 6 months. What is up? Glitch. I believe he is innocent, but how can the expert know where he was if they don't have the data back yet? They have the data back. They don't have all of it. They don't have all of it. That's what they're asking for. He basically, when you give this stuff to an expert, they know that what other stuff is out there that, hey, wait, where's this? They should have this. And so that's what she's basically saying is, my expert is telling me to be asking for this. This is how I know that this stuff is there. And so then I'm asking for it. And then here's Bill Thompson. Ann Taylor just thinks this stuff exists and it just doesn't exist. But I want to hear if that's what he's going to say about the phone stuff, because that's what he was saying about other stuff. But there's stuff that's missing. And so it's either going to come back that they didn't preserve it or it's being hid, And I'm telling you, that's why she asked for all the search warrants, to see the application for them and to see what you were trying to get. And then based on that, then the inventory back on it. And it says, so Kay Miller in the house, 20 memberships. You're green. Everybody's green. Thank you, Kim Miller. Good to be here. Good to be seen. Kim L, love you, Lana. Appreciate that. Love you back. 14 months. Look out. Thanks so much for your hard work. Love those brains. Appreciate that. Moon, 5 months. Damn. 91 messages up there. I don't know when. I don't know if it's so much that anyone's hiding anything as far as Bill's concerned, because Bill has to be given the shit from ISP, from all these agencies that they worked with. So, and so that's when Ann Taylor says that. I don't think that Bill necessarily, when Bill is saying that he doesn't have something, we don't think that he's lying. But we know that they have it, and like law enforcement needs to get it on over. That's how that works. And so like there's data dumps. So like let's say Wednesday, I was like, this coming Wednesday, hey Bill, I pulled a bunch of files from ISP because they were the ones that did X, Y, and Z. So I just took all their stuff, put it on a hard drive. I can bring it on over, and you could duplicate it and get one copy on over to the defense. So it's stuff like that. Like when that's what Bill's saying. Whenever I get something, I'm giving it to her. Okay. I'm very curious to see how this deadline is going to work. Because if you don't have whatever you don't get in your deadline for your discovery, you cannot introduce it into the trial. So Kaylee's parents don't have her. Again, I don't understand when they're talking about like this phone. They usually what people do is they're not going to give you the physical phone. That's not what they can do. But what they can give you is a USB, like a drive that has everything, the pictures or whatnot. But they have to be really careful. I mean, this is okay, guys. In a murder investigation, all of that stuff that goes into evidence, it stays there until it's over, like the trial's over, and then they can give you the stuff. So this is totally not uncommon when people don't have stuff. Just so you guys know. And if you want, that'd be, we're in an intense murder. We're gearing up to, you guys want to go to trial and do all this stuff. The last thing you want to do is like, hey, I'll get my pictures in a minute. Like, I want you to nail the son of a bitch, right? So that just wouldn't, like, I would know that I would get them. But there may be pictures in the phone. Like, you'd have to be really careful what you're giving out. You don't want to jeopardize anything. So I wouldn't. I personally don't think that anybody should be given anything. I think they messed up when they wanted to clear out the house and they just started taking stuff out, and they were just like, here you go. Like I said, I'm always going to give the families as much grace as possible. Nobody knows what they would ever do in a situation like this, blah, blah, blah. But, you hear the family say, hey, they didn't even go through like the trash that was outside, And so when you hear stuff like that, like, then they have to know that the investigation is lacking. But that, you believe so much so that this is the guy, but yet you have all these comments about the investigation. So I personally believe that they are saying what they're saying because they're going to sue the police. They're going to sue the university. And so they're writing and saying, yeah, we believe that this is a guy. We're following our police. We're following this. And then the moment that it comes that they have royally fucked up, then it's go time for them. So that's why I believe that they're saying the stuff that they're saying. I believe that that's a strategy. So that's my take on that. They're not going to go pissing off the police. There's no reason to. Tell me believe in them. Tell me think that, yeah, we did, they did a great job. And then when the time comes that anything else is revealed, then it's go time and they're going to get their asses sued. You guys saw what they did. They reserved the right to sue. Can't have that much confidence when you're doing that. But at the end of the day, 4 people died, murdered, and however, parents and the whole grieving process, like that's trauma. And so I don't necessarily say that they're in denial. I think that Steve knows what he's doing. All right, guys. So that's going to round this up. I appreciate all of your guys' time joining us, but we really want to truly go back and look at that. This whole 4 to 420 thing, that's only coming from nothing. That time, that murder time, it's coming from nothing. There's no where. Give me some physical evidence that points to that. Give me something other than Dylan and Bethany. Actually, it's not even Bethany. It's just Dylan. Dylan saying what she said. And then it's both of their combined with their phones. So, again, thanks so much. On your way out, you're going to have an opinion. Thumbs it up, thumbs it down. Make yourself known. All right, guys. Love all of the mods. Murky, Joanne, Heather, Boston, Marty. You guys all know. Who else is in here? Where's Jen? Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you for the super stickers. We're going back to that. I'm telling you. If ISP is the one that did this shit, ISP can't get themselves out of a brown paper bag. It's that bad. But remember, be kind to one another. And when you see stupid comments, just laugh. Laugh at the ignorance. Just be thankful that you are not ignorant. That you are not a dumbass. That's why you're here. All right, guys, take care. Oh, wait, remember, tomorrow kicks off. Oh, I should be live a little bit later, but in case you're not up, tomorrow kicks off. We don't know if we're going to get the Karen Reed case started because they have to just get a couple more jurors seated. But guys, if you want to watch a trial and really see what you can kind of start to expect from the Idaho4 case, I'm telling you, the Karen Reed case, it's got corruption. It's going to have the phone data. And I got bingo going on with it. So you can watch a trial, play bingo. Where can you do that at? So, but that's the Karen Reed case. That's the Boston case. Is she a killer or is it a cover-up? So yeah. Again, thank you guys so much. You guys are so kind. See you soon. I personally believe that it's a cover-up. That's where the evidence points. I don't think that she backed up and did that damage. So we'll see. Bingo, oh my God, how dare you? Yeah, bingo's good. Oh, check out the community page. It has the rules. You guys are going to be able to download the PDF, all that stuff. I've been working hard over here this weekend. So it's Bev Bingo. So it's words the judge will say. There's a new game every hour on the hour. So it starts at 9 and there's one at 10, 11. We have our noon break for lunch. And then we have a 1 and then a 2 and then a 3. So bingo with Bev. And she's the judge. She's a hoot. She's like, Mr. Lally. I'll tell you guys what some of the bingo words are. That when Bev says it, we get to look at our, where is it? Bev, get over here. Oh, let's see. I got my thing up. I could probably just share it. Oh, yeah. Here, I'll just share it. I'll just share screen. Oh, look at this. There you go. Look at that. She would make millions with a call-in live. Overruled, sustained, admitted, evidence, jury, recess, Commonwealth, defendant, expert, victim, Zoom. We're going to have some Zoom. I want someone to say F you, Bev, on Zoom again. Testimony, findings, witness, order, police, sidebar, Mr. O'Keefe, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lally, Mr. Yannetti, Miss Little, Miss Reed. Waterfall is one of the bars. What else we got here? What else we got for this lovely lad? Oh. Fairview, that's the name of the street. Records, McCabe, Albert, two of the last names. Third party culprit, defense, Norfolk, Proctor, exhibit, admitted, third party. Order, DNA. Uh-oh. Motion, morning, afternoon. Lexus, Canton, Chambers, criminal, buffer. Courtroom law, submitted, discovery, denied, motive, relevancy, hearsay, scope, blood, leading, asked and answered, speculation, moving on, foundation, prejudice, appeal, introduce, brief, Mr. Higgins. That's who I think is the shadiest mofo. Hair, fire department, autopsy, council, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, cameras. Those are your 75 words that are all jumbled up, just like the 75 balls. So, wait till we see how this pops. You guys will enjoy it. Figured if we're going to learn, watch a trial, you might as well have some fun. Again, this is only words that are said by the judge. And those bingo cards you can get when they post. It's a PDF, so you click it, and it just cycles out all these different ways to make all those different names on your card. And then the bingo games, in case you guys are wondering, this may entice you to want to start watching. This is the games. These are the rules. Bingo with Bev. Click the link and receive a free bingo card. So it'll be in the community page. Only one card per person, please. To claim your winning bingo, type the word bingo in chat, and then you're going to have to click the link so then you can reveal your bingo card so that we will be paying out in $5 per game for Cash App, and it's called a Bev on Bev. So we want you to get a Bev on Beverly. Again, please go to TNT's community page on YouTube and scroll to where you see the community post titled Bingo with Bev Scorecards. How to play. There's a new bingo game every hour on the hour during court. The games are listed below. Whether we have a winner or not in that featured hour, it ends at the 55-minute mark of that hour, as a new game will then start at the top of the hour. So the first game at 9 is a single bingo. At 10, you have to get a double bingo in that time frame. At 11 a.m., it's a double postage stamp. 12 noon, no lunch, or it's lunch, so it's no game. 1 o'clock, it's the Lucky 7 bingo. So the first bingo card to fill up 7 slots. It could be anywhere on your card, not including Bev's Head, which is the free spot. Then 2 p.m. is Living on the Edge bingo, which is the first card to fill up all the way around the edges of the card. And then the final game is Surround Bev's Head. So it's all the touching ones around the free spot. Again, the bingo card word bank, I told you guys, but at the end of each game, and there's a winner, we're paying for you guys to have a drink on Beverly. So as long as you click the link, show your winning scorecard, you'll get your $5 Cash App, and we ask you that you go buy a coffee or go buy a drink, like a liquor drink. Okay, great. So So there you go. Bev's on Bev. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted. So if you're going to watch the Karen Reed case, you need to watch it here. So again, you don't need a member to play when you're going to play. You don't have to be a member to play. Just so you guys know that. Alrighty. All right. All right, guys. Be kind. See you later.